Hello and welcome everyone. Today we have Petra, who brings on board a couple of decades of experience into specifically into growth. Right, that's how I'm going to define her. She has been, at leadership roles. She served leadership role in the companies like IBM and Microsoft, and she has been mentoring a lot of tech startups, product leaders in terms of how they can grow their sales, specifically into multiple areas of sales cycles, right? Which begins from lead generation to account expansion, various aspects that comes and falls into this category. So welcome, Petra. Welcome to our podcast. And I like you to begin with a very quick introduction, and then we'll go ahead with our questions.
Okay, so hi everyone. As you said, I'm Petra. I've been working with Microsoft and IBM in different roles. After that, I've been also on the buyer side, so on enterprise company. I was responsible for digital transformation, sales and marketing, and also IT. So I have that kind of experience. And since then, now I'm working with tech startups, with accelerators, incubators, and VCs to improve basically to set the sales framework. So to set the foundations, and then that they can have a scalable growth. Yeah. And here is what I work right now. So I'm happy to be with you.
Thanks, Petra. Very exciting, right? I mean, specifically the two words which I'm going to catch here, which is VCs and accelerator. I think a lot of people will be, very excited to know that. Great. So, Petra, I think as we have listed on some certain set of questions, very important, quite often asked, right? So, and I'm sure you must have come across those queries or questions a lot of time, right? So, to begin on those notes, right? Ideally, what do you think? What are the misconceptions which most of the founders that initially when they begin their journey, right, they have regarding, scaling their sales process, right? So everyone comes with their mindset, right? Probably they might be prepared, they might not have prepared themselves, but they go ahead, as and when they start growing, they start acquiring customers, right? So in this case, what are the drawback that you see when any organization begins initially? They don't really some of them definitely think about the sales process. Some of them may not be thinking about these scaling their sales processes as and when they start growing. So what are your views on this? And I'm sure, right, you were on both the sides, right, as you specified. So what would you like to share your view specifically when you deal with a lot of leaders?
Yeah, so there are two kinds, let's say. Yeah, of course, we don't want to be put in one and the other category, but there are ones that basically don't like sales. Yeah, so don't like selling. They would just like to do the product. And they think that there will be a person who will do or the automation or the technology that will do everything for them. So this is the first mistake. Yeah, so no possibility to scale. Okay. But the question into which you went is more like, okay, so we are eager to scale. We are eager to do everything what's required and how to do marketing and sales. But basically, they fail with premature scaling, okay? And one thing is that either they receive money from investors, but they don't set the basics, yeah? They don't explore ideal customer, they don't find out the value proposition. So they don't have product market fit yet. Then they don't have a product channel fit. So they go all around, or the channel that they might, it's okay, or somebody says, so no testing. And of course, very important third category is the unit economics. So they don't know what to measure and how to improve because somebody said they need to measure, or they don't even measure at all. Yeah, and those measurements are not aligned across the company, not specifically in sales. So yeah, the very basics. Yeah, so the foundations needs to be set first. And you cannot scale overnight. Yeah, so you need to set the basics with a lot of testings and some mistakes. You have to invest money into learn, and test and fail. Of course, more controllable, better. But yeah, don't skip this phase, please.
No, get absolutely valid, right? Specifically, the important points that you have mentioned, which is failures and learning, right? And to expand further on this, what would be your suggestion in that case, and specifically in terms of, the metrics that should be applying to measure their sales strategies if they are growing, not growing, where exactly they have to take appropriate decisions, right? As you were referring, right? I think in your previous response, you mentioned that, they have to start measuring things, right? So in that case, what would be your recommendation? What kind of metrics they should ideally start following up when they get into any new product ideas or they launch their product out in the market, they define their sales process, what would be your recommendations?
So basically, those measurements and KPIs and OKRs and everything changes how we grow. Yeah? But if we let's start with sales growth rate, like new customers or the revenue growth rate that we have. So the basic sales growth rate, and then of course the lead conversion rates, which are really important because you have to optimize this process. Then important things, let's say, when you have something to measure, is the sales cycle length, yeah, because we can optimize on sales cycles quite a lot and see what's working, what's not, and go back to selling materials and so on. And don't forget the fourth one, customer acquisition costs, yeah. Here people, avoid marketing costs or branding costs. No, everything is customer acquisition cost, yeah, because this is something that will help us get the customers, acquire them, and there are costs related to that. Yeah. So I would go with those four. First, sales growth rate, and then when we have something to measure, we continue with lead conversion, sales cycle, and of course the customer acquisition cost. See, measure, and improve.
So would you like to, share your, some real life examples when you have mentored someone or you have experienced yourself in terms of like when you talked about, refer about this four metrics and how it has impacted the decision making?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of examples, but let me be specific with one startup working in solar fields, okay? And they had some solution for collaboration, yeah? So it was automated collaboration between those field workers around, okay? Of course, the sales cycle length was really long, yeah? But this can have a lot of issues. Why? And one is they tackle the customers that didn't even have device, okay? So if you want to sell some software, it needs to be either on device or somewhere. So if you go and meet with people who doesn't have devices and this is additional cost, you have to tackle this differently. Yeah? If you need quick wins, then let's do the filtering appropriately. Yeah? And this is very simple example of how you can really shorten the sales cycle by filtering your customers. Yeah, so the specific of your customers. And they made quite an improvement but why? If you remember our conversation before, because of the fundamentals. They thought they can serve everybody all the time. But if we niche down, we will really shorten the sales cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will not leave money on the table. Yeah. So don't be afraid to leave money on the table.
Yeah. No one really wants to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically the founders, right? That's one thing. I mean, see, again, founders are sometimes, they are very passionate guys, right? As you referred about product, right? So they want to go after product. They want to, build the best product out in the market. But when they start getting demand, sometimes, this kind of aspects needs to be brought, kept in mind. And secondly, I think very important point that you have highlighted here, which is in line to like thinking, bringing another perspective, right? So you talked about if you have a software, there needs to be a device, and in absence of that, it can just increase your cost like anything, and that could even hamper your growth in the market, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to take a look for the whole product and maybe attach to something that is in there. Yeah, usually we say, let's see what are the platforms, let's see which vendors you can choose and attach easily, or what are the foundations that your customers have. Yeah.
So in such cases, what do you think, what are the different kind of, sales techniques or, any solutions that founders are, kind of following or adopting, right, to continue to, have a better sales outcomes, right? And maybe, do you have any recommendation? Have you given any recommendation to any, product companies? Any specific, case study would be, helpful.
So I'm coming from IBM and Microsoft, yeah. So I'm fully happy to use technology. Okay, I was digital transformation lady in a company, so I was giving people these tools. Come on, guys, we need to use it. But basically, without common ground again, back to basics, no sales intelligence engagement platform will help us. But because the principles of human right and social exchange and everything works the same. It only depends how what tools we will use. Yeah. And now we have digital tools, we have AI, we have automated tools. And of course, I am, when working with startups, saying, guys, let's see the sales tools that are available now for the sales intelligence, for engagement platforms. But again, if you don't know your ideal customer, if you don't filter, drop down all of that, no tool can help you. Yeah, if you think that you will serve everyone. So I would go to sales intelligence and engagement platform. Why? Because we want to go into segment of one, and we want to go to hyper personalization from decades. Yeah. And now we have tools we can do that. Yeah. As a buyers, so if you think that we are buyers, we want to buy that way. Yeah. So how people want to buy, let's sell them that way. Yeah. And I need something personalized for me. That's why I would go with those tools.
No, absolutely. In fact, even I have experienced a lot of time, during my consulting, engagements and assignments with the leaders. Sometimes I've found that while they have a metrics, they do not have an insight. Right. And these two things are very different, right? I mean, a lot of times they say, I have a metrics and I have an insight. And we say, no, you don't have an insight. You have data, right? Probably you may be processing and then you're trying to, get into a certain decision-making aspects, but insights, it's very, very important. You need to know what your customers are saying, right? And that can come in through sales intelligence or engagement platforms, very rightly said. But in such cases, if you look at the other aspects, Petra, right? See, ideally, you must have also experienced, right? When you speak to sales guys, sometimes they do not have complete aspects about what is getting built inside, right? And you would find a huge gap between product and sales team, right? Or sometimes who is implementing is living in third world, right? And this guy is living in another planet, right? So you may find a huge, sometimes a gap or kind of a difference in understanding between internal stakeholders. And likewise, they may not be fully aware of what is happening outside in the market in terms of competitions or in terms of technologies or whatnot, right? So what would be, how do you tackle this specifically when you mentor, the leaders, right? In terms of to enhance their sales effort, right? How they should be balancing this internal and external stakeholders to partner well.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you mentioned to partner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is to partner, because we need to know what are our key competencies, what are their key competencies, in different planet, in different market, but also what is in it for them. Yeah. So this effort and the value based that I can give you and you can give me and we can both grow. Okay. And if I don't miss something you have, we cannot grow. Yeah. Because I will not feel incentivized. So it's called like value-based partnership. So when combining product and sales, or when combining different cultures, we always need to really set what we would like to achieve, what they would like to achieve, and how we can combine that. And there are, of course, techniques how to do that, how to filter that, how to do the profiling of ideal partnership, and so on. But again, we start with the objectives. What would we like to achieve, and who has this, and who needs this?
Got it, right. So, I mean, while I think there's one more question, and probably you'll be able to link it better and expand it over there, right? And then you must have seen, right, when specifically in startups, right, it is like pre-funding, there's another life. Post-funding, there's another life, right? Which means pressure coming from different stakeholders. Now there's a different aspects, expectation set. The team may be moving in a certain, flow. And post you engaging more people coming to the board, there's a different energy flowing in the room, right? And that continue to build a lot of pressure on the sales team, right? So what do you think, what sort of a mindset they need to bring in such scenarios, right? To continue to keep their motivation high. And there could be another scenario, right? Sometimes like maybe a quarter is really great, right? You ended up acquiring a lot of customers. You ended up building great pipeline. But there could be one quarter wherein you are really, really struggling despite of having all huge demand out in the market for the kind of product you have introduced, right? So how such things should be tackled inside the organizations?
So basically what I say is that business without a customer is just a hobby. Okay, so we have to have customers all the time, meaning sellers needs to constantly sell. Yeah, not just one quarter or one product. Yeah, but the real professional seller is the one who can constantly sell and sell and sell. So from quarter to quarter. Yeah, and then the measurements go down. But yeah, basically back to your question. First of all, of course, the supportive, positive culture with clarity and open communication. Yeah, which is the whole new world, but we have to build it. Yeah, we cannot say we won't build that and only build a sales team. No, yeah, it's a culture thing. But if we move fast now from this, which is complex thematic, to the sales teams, what is measured can be improved. Okay, so we have to measure. Okay, but not to measure just to measure and have data, like you said, with no insights. Yeah, we have to have clear strategy, clear objections, set down goals. So the goals needs to go top down and across the line of businesses. Yeah, and needs to be aligned. So we've done that also in the company where I was on a buying side. Of course, Microsoft and IBM also are working like that. But also in the traditional company, when I arrived, we were, before that they started, yeah. So we started with objections and key results for each, not only for sales, yeah, also for HR, also for controlling, for everybody, but also, which was new, for sales, because the measurements and how to achieve the goals to be aligned also come to sales. So yeah, so top down and across functions, alignment with strategic goals, objections, and then of course the cadence needs to be there. And if we need to go also step further, people needs to be incentivized. Not only financially incentivized. We have to really clearly understand how to move them forward. And in the beginning of startup, maybe they will measure new customers. Later on, they will measure and incentivize something else, because they will go to upsell and cross-sell. So they will have the land and spend metrics, and they will actually incentivize something else. Maybe when they will grow, they will have a big partnership channel. Okay, the ecosystem of partners. They will have to incentivize and drive partners with different measurements and incentivize, but all coming together to the strategy and goals. And improving, okay, moving, evolving.
I think you brought a very good point here, Petra, right? Which is more about bringing that alignment right across the board, right? And that could maybe, I think that is one way of maintaining the clarity across the company, which gives, it basically helps in setting the expectations right, right? Even with the sales team, and also to understand the challenges they are facing, the dependency they have. And, probably on the same line, I like to, take our discussion forward towards, the very important subject, which is OKR, right? Because that is where you get to see, whatever you're referring, right? And how transparency can be brought. And maybe on this note, right, I would really like to understand where you have applied, this concept, right? And how it has helped organizations in terms of, maintaining the pressure, right? In terms of setting the expectation, right? In terms of, building that relationship across different department and functions, right? And specifically, if you remember, we were also discussed about, maintaining that partnership, right? Internal, be it internal or be it external, right? They really have to have that right partnership. So, maybe if you can share your views, how OKR has impacted or how it impacts specifically to product and startup organizations.
First of all, it aligned all companies. So the decision-making process for all the directors or all the functions that need to, to make decisions, they can decide towards achieving the main goal, okay, which is set. So the alignment with them was very necessary. And then we can go and improve the processes, because we are losing a lot of stuff during the process manually or purely automated or done totally different, and people are not focused in the right direction. So we know that if we focus and we know what to do, if there is a clarity, we can really improve. And those OKRs brought us, first of all, alignment. We are all okay with that. We all understand what we need. And of course, the first step, which we didn't tackle today, is the mindset. Because in the companies where this is not really normal thing, first we need to tackle the mindset, why we need something and be measured up on that. Yeah, it's sometimes really people get scared, yeah, to be measured, yeah. So we need to go through this process, why we measure, what is in it for all of us and for each of everyone specifically, so personalized again. And then when we set common understanding, okay, those are our objections, you know, the company-wide. Those are the HR. If we want to achieve this, we need the HR to bring us these people here, these people into production, these people into HR, into sales, okay? If we have alignment on marketing, we know how much money we will spend for automation tools, how much money we will spend for copywriting, how much money we will spend to alignment between sales and marketing, and so on. Yeah. So we really align these silos to become one. Yeah. So first on the minds and then on the processes. And it helped us a lot move the company forward. Yeah. Some things become normal because we have this common goal. Yeah, it was like, okay, no worries, I'll do that. But before that, year ago, it was, no, this is not in my job description. I will not do that. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I think people can relate and found this internal driving. Yeah.
You are absolutely right, Petra, right? I mean, this is something which during the consulting I've also come across, right? So I'm going to add that, story now. So we were, like I was doing a consulting from one of the logistic firms, right? And so you can see, right, they get into supply chain to operations to inventory to whatnot, right? I mean, they have people different across the board, and you will find a lot of blue collar guys, right? Which means they are on field doing a lot of exercise, having very less visibility on what is happening inside, right? And they are not connected. There's a lot of huge disconnect. Now, what happens when the review happens? No one cares whether you had any visibility, you never had visibility, you spoke to this guy, spoke to that guy. And the frustration that we had seen at leadership role is whenever you speak to them, they say, I have no clue why things are going wrong. Whenever I come on call, the review happens, people start pointing fingers towards, this is not my problem, that is someone else's problem. And that was the reason I was laughing when you were explaining them that it's not part of my role, right? And we said, see, now you know, right? I mean, why it is so important for you guys. And secondly, we also have realized that a lot of times leaders have not set the expectation right. So, sometimes they are also trying to defend themselves. No, my thought process was also really right. And we said, irrespective of what you think, right, you are actually impacting business big time. You're, you are hampering your organization's growth. Are you okay with that? Right. So I think, yeah, very rightly said. So continuing on the same line. So what do you think, right? I mean, how important it is for leaders, right? Specifically those who are founders, those who are CXOs, how important it is for them to directly deal with the sales team, right? Understanding the struggle or challenges and how it can help the company run better.
Yeah, I mean, I have many startups founders who doesn't like to hear that, yeah, but it's really important. It is because if there are no customer, nothing happens before somebody sells something, yeah. And without customers, you don't have a business, just maybe very, very, very expensive hobby, okay? So, and you actually designed and developed this product. Why? To help someone solve problems. So you need to understand this someone who supposed to have this problem you are solving. So you're doing something good, okay? So help them. Make conversation. You will not understand them if you will not discuss with them. And because buyer's process is now it's happening in different touch points. It is super great to understand your buyer's thinking, your buyer's process, your buyer's touch points. And if you have this understanding, you can then, decide what to do and what not to do, because all your business then goes back to whether you will improve the product where and, how much investing you maybe need or what do you need from investors right now. So basically the buyer, not the sales process itself, but the buyer and the buying process is the things you need to understand. And then, the sales process will align. This is, I think, really, really crucial for founders because the buyer is the one. Yeah.
Absolutely right. I think you are absolutely bang on right. That's what we keep recommending. In fact, those who are the decision makers, right, that we are trying to solve a problem, right? While you may have a solution, sometimes over a period of time, we come out of this mindset and we continue to, start pushing our product in the market and probably lost the essence of why we have even designed the product, right? and they are just behind numbers. Oh, I want to get more customers, more customers. Why customers are not buying? It's equally important for them to understand. I think, as you rightly mentioned, if they are, probably directly interacting with the sales guy, one of the insight they can gain is why people are not buying, why the decision making. I think one of the metrics that you've recommended is like sales cycle length, right? And why it is like extending, why it is, kind of growing like from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, sometimes 12 weeks to 24 weeks, you have no idea, right?
And
I
it
think
impacts
really,
customer acquisition costs.
yeah,
They are all
yeah,
interconnected.
absolutely. They are all interlinked. And then sometimes it is building more pressure on them eventually, right? So aligning with them would be absolutely right. So, so my question here is, right, in terms of, growing their business, right, driving their growth, right, what would be your advice to the leaders and founders, right, who are taking their product out in the market? Specifically, it is like, like a before funding and after funding, right? It's a two different lives that they juggle into, right? And in fact, a lot of times you would find even founders take time to adjust when they got a funding. They are also trying to adjust with this change, right? With having other people's on board, aligning the mindset with them. So what would be your advice, for them in such cases?
For the founders.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, first, set and reset really what you want to achieve and why. Yeah. And then from your personal why, you will see whether you will work hard and move and go to different markets and really align and take some risks and of course measure that risk. Or you would like to stay the same, because not everybody needs to scale. Yeah. Maybe you just need to grow the business normally because this is something you personally would like to live up on it. Yeah. And it's not a failure. So first of all, dear founders, think really, how do you feel it? Why would you like to scale? And if you are ready to scale, then be fully dedicated because it's hard work. Yeah, it's hard work and of course you can quit in the middle, but don't. Okay. So feel these values to whom you would really like to help and how, and then we can align the roadmap, the team that will go with you, the technology that is behind, the funds, how you will spend those funds not to overspend and run away, without money and so on. But first of all, set yourself mindset. What would you like to achieve and why? Why? Don't stop with first why. Go deep.
Okay, so then you have three suggestions, right? I mean, they really have to keep in mind, which is one is why, second why, and third is also why.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, absolutely right. In fact, as we are more like a, OKR solution or platform, right? I mean, we also recommend that one should always begin with why. Because if you do not have a right answer for it, maybe you are building something which may not solve the problem at all, and which could lead to, as you rightly mentioned, to your customers may not be solving your problem. You may not see the demand for your product onto the market. It'll build a lot of pressure for you, and then eventually you will end up taking decision which may not be right for the company. Right, so it makes a lot of sense, thinking and getting your why right, thereby bringing more clarity in the company, right? So thank you so much, Petra, for your your time and sharing your valuable insights with us. Right, I'm sure it'll definitely help our our prospects, customers, and the followers over social media channels. And we definitely like to have one more such interesting conversation with you in future as well.
Thank you. I was honored to be with you, and I really encourage everyone to set objectives based on your why and then move forward. Yeah, step by step towards the goal, and you can scale.
Absolutely. Thanks, Petra.
Thank you.